Shady silhouetted images and industry teasers are finding their way into our homes and invading our minds. Their calculated information is delivered to feed our addiction for radio-controlled frequencies. It's an RC conspiracy. But we are on your side, cracking the RC code. Because the truth is out there. Welcome to the RC Conspiracies podcast. Get your decoder rings ready and put on those tinfoil hats because your fearless leader is here. Please welcome your host, the lead RC conspiracist, Tony CC. Welcome to the RC Conspiracies podcast.
Hey, what is going on, RC Conspiracists? Welcome to another episode number 14. And tonight we're going to be talking about a whole slew of things that are RC related. Kind of going back, maybe rehashing a few of them that we've talked about before, talking about some other RC news, and just things that are possibly coming up that might have some new nuggets for us, maybe even this week. If the past is kind of any kind of idea of what's going to happen in the future, I think we have a few things that we might be able to get excited about. And so, yeah, I'm excited for this week, and I'm excited to hear what you guys think is going to be happening. Roadside RC is in the house. Robert Hipp, David Flea, and Scott Maybach and the Kind Brew was in here earlier, and he had to check out. So this is the RC Conspiracies live show and podcast. This will air later on the rcconspiracies.com podcast, where you guys can watch it, or not watch it, but you can listen to it the next day. If you miss it and you just want to kind of listen while you're doing something else, you're driving, whatever, you can kind of hear what's being talked about and some of the things that are being said. And so today, I think one of the things we're going to do is we're going to get into the chat a little bit more tonight and look at what you guys have going on and are talking about, and kind of keep this kind of an open, almost like a open line Friday kind of a thing, but not exactly like that. So first things first, I want to look at a few things that we've got going on, kind of, hit up the sponsor type stuff. And so let's go ahead and take a look at it. That's the wrong one. So here it is. We do have merchandise, guys. RC Conspiracy, CCxRC. That's Not Scale t-shirts. We've got stickers, mugs, that kind of stuff. Anything that you buy in here does give us a little bit of proceeds that we can use for stuff that we do on the channel. It's not a lot, but every little bit helps, right? So, I'm paying now to run the podcast and for hosting, for all of that. And there's a lot of other costs that we incur keeping this thing going. And so that's one way that you can keep up and help out with some of that without just donating money or doing like the super chats or any of that. You get something cool for yourself as well that way, right? The other thing is, if you are on Facebook, we do have a Facebook group. It's a private group, so you have to search it. It'll show up, and there's a few questions you can answer, and we'll let you in. We're pretty nice about that kind of thing. So you can see we've got in here the link about tonight's chat, and there's a bunch of other stuff that people post in here. One of the things we're going to be talking about tonight is this Subaru Brat 4-wheel drive from Charisma. Looks really, really cool to me. And we saw they had a mini one, and now they've got a bigger one coming. So a few things in here we're going to peek in on and take a look at tonight. But first, we're going to head over to the chat, see what everybody is doing in there. And Driftomaniacs is in here. Good evening, man. Chris, hey, says hello. Roadside RC, SEMA debuts from Sen. You're not telling me we're going to be talking about this, are we? I have that pulled up. Some of the announcement that SEMA has unveiled for us. Horizon Hobby was there last year, Before that, Traxxas debuted their brand new UDR there. And so SEMA is kind of what we're going to be talking about a little bit today, kind of looking at some of the stuff that's going on. So let's go ahead and do that. If you guys want to peruse some of the send stuff, see if you find something that might be a kind of a hint for us, hit their Facebook page right now. Leave some comments in the chat, and we'll go from there. Chris says, so who likes overkill and extreme overkill? David Pig says, I need an SMT-10 in my life. We're going to talk about RC monster trucks, guys, because one of the conspiracies is who was driving my trucks this past weekend. I did pretty good at the last No Limit RC race here down at Digger's Dungeon. So I've got some footage queued up that we're going to take a little bit of a look at later. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek over here. I've got the Instagram pulled up. I also want to talk about the Send trucks. I got a bunch of parts from them for doing some builds and upgrades in here to show how the upgrade parts work, and having to video all that as I do it. So that's going to be coming. Here's my trucks from the race, and then some jumping stuff. This is what I was going to show you guys. But yeah, I've got my Final Cut all loaded up in here, and I've got a whole bunch of footage that we can look at, and I wanted to show you guys from the race. But yeah, that's going to be a little bit later. You're going to have to hold on for that one. Okay, guys? Yeah, I know. So we're going to bounce over to the chat again. And Drifto Maniacs is saying he should be shooting it tomorrow if I get the new gears fitted to the car tonight. He's talking about his new challenge that he's going to be doing. So those are always fun, right? James Price is in here. Hey, James, I didn't get to say hello to you yesterday when you were in the Instagram. We went live from the racing, and then I found out that I had to race, and I handed it over to Jeremy. Joshua Williams is there. He shot some footage. We'll pull up on Facebook later on just so I can gloat a little bit. I won something, so I got to show people because nobody believes it. It's an RC conspiracy, if nothing else. I won something. Chris Watson is in the house. And yeah, I actually did pretty good with several of my trucks. Took second in 2.2 in the way that it is run now, which is Pro Mod Light, Pro Mod Mini. And so yeah, Jaden Doyle. So what's your stance on the 2.2 mini class? That's a conspiracy as well. I really think the 2.2 mini class should be like the Sport Light that they do for Trigger King, or they do a Pro Mod Light, or Crawford and them up there. Crawford Performance does a lightened version where they've got restrictions on Pro Mod, so they're doing it with the bigger tires, but they're limiting you to 2S batteries, and they're limiting you to depending on which one, a 15-turn or a 17-turn motor. Now, Crawford does brushed or brushless. I think it'd be cool to just do a brushed class and make that the mini, though. Keep them small. Keep them so that they're not as fast, because they are supposed to be even like a miniature size of the monster truck, because we're not doing it as a true like mega truck or that has the smaller wheels. We're just basically doing it as a shrunk down like 12th scale, because we're still doing the same big monster trucks from Monster Jam and all the different things. So it's still a scale to the big boys. And so I think it should just be scaled down for speed, and make it so that people can enter easily and get into the competition and have a competitive truck. That's my take on it. I really don't care if it's shaft driven, clodbuster axles, as long as the motor limit is in place to kind of keep them down, gear them down, so that they're not stupid fast like they are now. But that's just my take on it. Jaden's asking that. Jaden's in here. Jaden is the fast guy here in Virginia, that when you get there, we say you're racing for second. Because he's quick, but he's just dialed in. Like, he hits the turns and he hits the jumps every time. And it's pretty awesome to watch. It's fun to watch. So it's fun to go up against him and sometimes get lucky. And the thing I like about Retro is it's really anybody's business. We were literally side by side going to the final, and then that log stack threw him up. And for me, somehow I like kind of pushed through it when I hit it. It moved and I just kept going. So, yeah, so that's to answer Jaden's question there. Chris L. Rocks, Arma November release rumor mill. We'll look at a picture of that, and somebody says that they've talked to people at Arma and that they heard something. So we'll look at that as well. So that's why it's kind of we need one of these weeks where we can just kind of lump all of it together and talk about all of this here. And you guys are killing it with noticing everything. You noticed the SEMA stuff and that Sen had released stuff. That's what I wanted to talk about. Maybe they'll have something new for us. Maybe Traxxas will have another new thing again, and get some more momentum going for them. I don't know exactly. It's also November, so are you guys growing out your beards? What's going on with that? Joshua Williams says, Jaden is a hard guy to beat. Chris says he's about to do a quick night run with his Reaper. Yeah, he got one of the Sen American Force Reapers. Those things are really cool, guys. $699, $700 for a 6-scale monster truck. That is awesome. I really like that truck. All right, so I'm all out of, I don't know what I was going to talk about now. You guys got me all over the place. Do we just stick with the monster trucks? Because that was going to be part of what I was going to talk about. We're already kind of in that. Chris says, watch Traxxas make the brand new Bronco. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Not really. Although it might go along with the latest release, at least the 4-wheel drive one. Chris Watson, what's all your guesses? What is Arma going to announce? So right after we did the Arma thing, they put up the countdown. Now everybody's guessing. And they're actually kind of holding a pretty good, they're keeping their mouths pretty tight on this one. I'm very impressed so far because a lot of the other stuff has had little slips and leaks, and all we know is that something is coming. So yeah, let's see. Chris Watson says, yeah, he loves it. He's loving the Reaper. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and take a quick peek. I need to pull up the RC Conspiracies page. Let me do this one here in front of me. So this one is the web one. All right, so J. Donovan or JD had posted something in here. Also, Ben is doing a giveaway for Radiolink System over on his channel. Buy it, break it, fix it. So you want to go check that out. John Donovan, here's... There's no way I'm going to run it with that new body on, then 5 minutes later you're jumping it through fire. I love that because that's basically what I did with the Creighton. I'm not going to take it big. And then next thing you know, boom. All right, here it is. This is an image so we can zoom in a little bit. And it says, he posted this in the Arma Limitless Infraction RC Speed Crew. Chris Collar says, 1/5 scale Creighton 12S 90 miles per hour. Just talked to Arma design team. X-Max killer it is, guys. Hope you all know. Or I hope you all enjoy. I know I will. Wow, I just totally failed on reading there. I'm going back to school after this is done. This guy just weed his pants a little, he says. Now, to me... I mean, that's some killer electronics. Somebody's got to design that system if they're going to put that in ready to run. I don't think that Horizon Hobby has that system in their tool belt just yet. So that would have to be completely built. But Spectrum is building stuff, so maybe. But that's a lot of battery expense. So it also would increase the price of it above the X-Max. And would that make it a killer when you have to spend that much to buy the truck, and then you've got to buy 12S in batteries? That's the part that's killing me. 12S in batteries would be stinking expensive. So the RC Sailors has just jumped in. Hello, Nate and Abby. How are you guys doing? Welcome to the RC Conspiracies. We're conspiring over what is happening in the RC industry right now. To who was driving my trucks on Saturday when I won. I must have had I'm running those really nice radios, guys. So I stand up there and pretend like I'm driving, but I got people in the van. You know it. You know it. It's real. I got drivers everywhere. They're using that new Spectrum $1,200 airplane remote that can, I think it can control the Mars lunar lander or whatever that thing is, the Mars rover. That thing better have some range for that kind of cost, man. If you're not, able to tap into satellites with that thing, I want a little bit of money back, Spectrum. I'm kidding. It is a sick looking controller. I have to joke a little. But yeah. And so they caught us live. We've been found out. The RC conspiracies are going to be known, and the conspiracies will continue to fester and grow. But yeah, so the next thing that I was going to talk about, so that was the one question. What do you guys think? Roadside RC says this is such BS. No way. 12S, 90 miles per hour is right. I'm kind of feeling you there. If they made a 90 mile per hour fifth scale truck, can you imagine the lawsuits that could happen? Like if you're putting that much speed and weight into somebody's hands, like you'd have to put an age limit on that. Like you must be 21 years old to buy this car. Need a driver's license because you could kill somebody with that thing. I almost killed my kid 6 years ago when I got 5 years ago, was it? When I got 5 or 6 years ago when I got my low C10 and I jumped it right into his face. I'll never forget that. But yeah, so is Popeye watching? That's what we really want to know. That's the conspiracy. And is he a remote control dog? I have some ideas. So Chris L. Rock says eye rolls at 12S. Let's jump back over here. Yeah, Roadside RC, people would be in the hospital everywhere. We almost took a kid out with one of the Outcast 4S's off of the jumps over at Digger's Dungeon over the weekend. If that had been the new, for one, if it would have been a fifth scale Creighton, it probably would not have missed him. It would have probably clipped him and sent him down 8 feet to the ground. Ethan Saunders says, Tony, honestly, I will freak if there are age limits on RC cars. Oh, that's great. They say Poppy is chilling right by Nate and Abby watching. Jaden Doyle says, man, I don't know about that one. The price of the truck at 12S on top of that, too expensive. That is for sure. All right, so the other conspiracy that I was thinking about, and it's not really a conspiracy, but SEMA is coming up. It starts tomorrow. Traxxas always has the Traxxas girls there. They've got big tents in real trucks that say Traxxas on them. They're full-size vehicles, and they've got a sweet display there. Now, they've announced a UDR there in the past. In 2017, I think that's when we first saw the American Reaper from Sen. Sen has also used cars from SEMA, the B50, that Bronco 150 Ford mashup that they've got. That was a build for SEMA that they then took and they announced it at a different auto show. And so they're notorious. These car companies are notorious for releasing things, especially if it's scaled after something or a scale replica of something at these events. So like the UDR is a scaled down version of one of the short course trucks. And so, yeah, I don't know. So if we do take a look at some of the things in the past, what do we see? We see the wrong screen, but I do have it over here too. We can make this work. So yeah, latest news, this was in 2017. Traxxas debuts new products at SEMA. You can see they're really awesome. I mean, I'll give it to Traxxas. They've got some awesome marketing. I mean, this setup is, it's just so nice looking. All right, we'll get off that. I like good design. I can't help myself. I from a design background, video production, I like good design. Fox name, they've got that. They've got the Cadillac CTS and some other cool stuff that they had on display. So yeah, and then they had some hop-up stuff. They had a new Bigfoot flame. They had a whole bunch of new stuff. Orange edition. Of course, It's the same X-Max, but now it's in orange. So it's new. That's the one thing that does bother me with the marketing side. But the rest, I think they do a really good job with. So I'm just curious if you guys think we're going to see something else coming up here. What does Nate think? Nate, do you think that Abby, what do you think? You love the car stuff. Is there something new coming from Traxxas or somebody? Scott Maybach says, Tony, what would you like to see from Traxxas next? I keep saying this because they're scaling stuff out. Like the UDR isn't necessarily the best performing truck in its class right there because the Mojave came out. And you'll say it's a different class, but to some of us, it doesn't really matter. But they went scale with it. And so that's where they could have gone performance. They could have done independent. They could have just made it a big slash, basically. But they took that thing and they went over the top, made it killer with the scale detail. They did that with their TRX4 lineup. And so what I want to see is a scale monster truck from them. They gave us the Max. And I have opinions about that truck that I love, that I hate, that I love, that I hate. And I kind of go back and forth. Depends on my mood when I'm driving it, because I find it to be a really frustrating car to drive because it rolls over when you jump and you land, when you turn. It just likes to roll over. But a lot of times it does keep rolling and land on its wheels. And if it doesn't, you've got the self-righting. But I feel like a terrible driver every time I drive it. And so that's frustrating. However, there's other cars that are not like that, which will, of course, be doing some of that stuff. But I want to see a solid axle monster truck. We've got all this scale stuff. They make monster trucks. They make really cool monster trucks. They've got the Bigfoot name. Give us a scale Bigfoot. If they did that, I would pay max prices plus for that. I would be paying $600 for that thing if they did it right. And, they make really... I cannot, for the life of me, break the Max. The body is literally, it's crushed. It's like a half an inch shorter on the top now because I've crashed it so hard and so many times. But I cannot break that thing. But what do you guys think? What do you want to see from Traxxas if they release something new? Some people would probably like to see some other stuff. RC Sailors asks, where am I from? Well, originally I'm from Metro Detroit, and that's where I get some of my accent from. But we live now in Virginia Beach, so you never know what the weather's going to be. It was 60 today, could be 90 tomorrow. It's fall here, so that's what we deal with. The other thing I'd like to see is maybe some more scale on-road trucks. We have a few like lowriders and stuff that are made, but it'd be cool to get something that scale in a regular truck body with that's built with regular wheels on it to drive just scale, So that would be something I think would be pretty cool. The weird thing with the Traxxas thing too was that they brought it in at a price which made it too close to their bigger truck, and so instead of dropping the price of the new one, they just increased the price of the one that had been out for a while, which you wouldn't normally increase. You'd drop the price on something as it's been out for a while. So, I don't know about that one. JP Slayer's in here. Ethan Saunders says he's heard rumors. Ooh. Rumors of a solid axle Traxxas truck. Man, here's what I've heard. And that's just because Traxxas they keep their ship as tight as Apple. As well as they're keeping everything in-house as far as connectors and batteries and all that stuff. So, but I would be okay with that for a solid axle monster truck. I might break down and buy a Traxxas battery if they made it a certain size that only their battery fit into their solid axle monster truck. I would probably do it. All right. The sailors say they're visiting soon. Well, you should contact us because we have extra room here if you need a spot out here. We're right by Outer Banks. So we're near Digger's Dungeon, which is a cool stop if you are here. You need to head down. If you're visiting like Virginia Beach area, it's like an hour down to Digger's Dungeon. And if you're into monster trucks, it's pretty cool. If they're working on them that day, like if there's a bunch of them in town being worked on, it's really awesome. But yeah. But you didn't answer me on what you'd like to see from Traxxas or that one car company with a lot of red and blue stuff. We could not use names if that was any better for people. So anyway, I have, like I said, that my relationship right now with Max is hit or miss. Depends on the day. The day at Ipswich, I was like high heaven, but I didn't really have to drive it. I literally had to use the TSM and go straight and hit the jump and flip and land. And then you just literally go slow and set back up. So yeah. So that was the one thing that I was looking at, was looking at the different things that were at SEMA. So Big Squid talked about Horizon Hobby being there at 2018, putting on some stuff for them there. And then Sen had the American Force Reaper. Let me make sure the audio is off on this so we don't get any copyright stuff going down. And so they've been working with American Force to make edition of their truck and their rims, which I have over there on the floor. And it is an amazing truck. And I drove it for the first time at Digger's Dungeon this May. It was May, the end of May. And it was awesome. We were launching it off of the monster truck course. Like, dirt over a school bus kind of hills. They were huge, and we were sending it. So you can see the real truck there in the background. So they've got one in the front, in the foreground. So maybe they're going to do something. I've heard that Sen is going to SEMA again this year. They tend to go to these car shows, these big ones, where there's a lot of stuff going on, and they'll set up their stuff. So I'm curious to see if anything is coming from them. Maybe we'll know more tomorrow. Kind of waiting for that leaked image to hit the web. And I'm kind of drying up. He says he can't say their name. They love their crawler. They'd like to see more in the crawler world. Yeah, like a tank crawler or like a ripsaw. Oh, that'd be interesting. That would be interesting. Ripsaw is pretty cool. And us monster truck guys could take that and we could turn it into the old school retro tank class. Yeah, it'd be nice to have another option for that. They've already got the treads worked out. Bring that to tank size, because I don't need the small tank treads on 4-wheel drive cars. I want a tank like they're talking about. That'd be cool. I'm curious what Losi's doing too. They had been out in the filming. We saw over on Greg Sopa's page and that they'd been filming some videos. And you could hear it. It was a 5T. It was a Losi, so it's a big one. And they were doing some footage there, but I didn't really get many details on why from the images and videos. So that has me curious about what that's all about. And I love my 5T. That quickly rose up in my RC favorite. You get it and you drive it one time and it's like number 2. Well, it's number 1 for that day, but then you realize number 2. All right, let's jump back here to the chat for a second. See what you guys are saying. Speaking of Greg, yeah, so we've got that. Then you guys are saying you're talking with the sailors. That's cool. The way they did. Oh, they're talking about the Traxxas stuff. I'm trying to play catch up on some of the chat stuff. Yeah, it wasn't cool what they'd done to you guys. However, that one company, there was something out there that already had that kind of name that somebody dug up from the archive history of Traxxas, and they sent me a manual for. So that was interesting. There was an S-Max or whatever before. And so they probably do own the name to that. But still, we saw it kind of come down and happen through YouTube, and it was a weird time there. All right, so those are some of the things I want to talk about. I'm going to take a quick break from talking for a second. Going to show you guys a little bit of footage from this past weekend, monster truck racing. I do want to talk a little bit about my Send truck and what I'm going to be doing with that, and some of the conspiracies. People are still waiting. I did finally get some of the hop-ups that they have in the aluminum and the metal upgrades and all that they've got from their Chaos line. And so those are coming, and I think HRP is going to be distributing them in the US, but I'm going to be doing some videos on that and how I'm trying to hop up mine to be a mini monster truck. And so I'll be doing some upgrades to it and seeing if I can't make it perform a little better. It was almost there this past weekend. I've got some footage of it here. And you'll see I actually won kind of the race that I was in, but we hadn't been watering the track, and so it's getting really loose. And with that shorter wheelbase, I hit something, and it steered way around the jump, and I had to take a 2-second penalty. But I think it was actually longer to go around the jump than to hit it, because it was basically like a roller and it wasn't anything big. But whatever, I had to be honest, say that I went around and take the penalty. So let me give you guys this screen here, and then I'll talk through it, maybe narrate a little bit as it's going, because I do have footage for you. Whoops. I've even got music. All right, so this is the Send. This is that race. And I got a little squirrely, and then I'm coming up, and then it just totally diverted around the jump. But this pass was pretty good. I cornered it nicely. It handled the jump pretty well, soaked it up, turned and had decent speed. It was great for a 2.2. Here's Jeremy running his toy retro. There's a little bit of some retro fun in here. I let somebody run my Bigfoot, and you guys get a little sneak peek. I'm going to be editing all of this together soon, but this was just a quick throw together. All right, so you actually can race the Creighton 4S and Outcast 4S in their four-wheel drive without any modification. You can just run it, which is awesome. We haven't had a car out there that you could just do that with. Without locking up a center diff. So took that one, and then I roll it in the next race with it. But I think he had the lead on me anyway. I got a little squirrely. Oh, RC Master had a great idea what they'd want from Traxxas. A remote with the screen. Because their menu trees are awful. They really are. All right, so this was me racing Jaden, getting beat handily. I was running my ZRD. I didn't have a bad time, but he had a really great time. And this was my freestyle. This is my Pro C Sticker Bomb 2.0. I'm putting a new motor system in it. I've been having some issues with it glitching out on me, but this is like full speed the whole time, and it's just underwhelming. So that's Pro Mod, and it should be faster.
This one doesn't have as much lift as that other one.
No.
Good. Hello.
Whoa! Dude, I almost stepped into that.
Same! Dang, Mike! I almost nailed that in the head! Woo!
Oh, right there. Almost got clipped. So Josh Williams was filming this while Ben was over almost getting hit. And then we were doing some, like Dayton and I, some jumping
right
with our 4S Arma line. So we were just having a good old time. So yeah, that was my little break I needed so I could take a quick drink. But yes, I'm with them about the having a little bit of a different menu for the Traxxas Remote, because that is considered an upgrade in their lineup. You know, it's nicer because it does have some features in it, but I don't like actually how high the wheel is, and I don't like how small it is. It's all right for crawlers, but well, no, it's not, because you want a one-hand drive sometimes with crawlers. There's just no way with that controller. And the menu system is just, I mean, for steering trim and all of the different features, I just want dials. Give me something I can see. But yeah, so we had a great time doing the monster trucks at Digger's Dungeon. There's no better place to do it than where monster trucks, you know, are made. And so I was at the Samson event. I haven't actually cut together that video for you guys yet, where J Concepts put on an event, and I happened to be in Ohio on vacation with my family, 30 minutes away on a family reunion. So I cut away for like 3 hours to attend it. It was really awesome. So we'll have that going, but yeah, so we're going to be doing some crazy stuff. Hopefully, I need to get in touch with the Andersons and see about maybe using that little set of jumps for some videos that I want to do coming up here very, very soon. So I'm going to try. I have some Weston's information and stuff like that from this summer, so maybe I'll reach out to him or through the Digger's Dungeon and see if I can't get a hold of somebody. But yeah, that's an awesome setup of jumps that they've got there. And I'd love to get like the 5T and stuff out there jumping on those. It'd be a blast. So I've got race footage coming for you guys from that event, and then we'll have there's also a pumpkin smash and some other fun stuff that went on. But the Sen truck that was in there, I can show you the picture of it. It was over on the Sen Racing page, so I'm going to jump there for a second. I know they had it. Oh, wait, before we go there, if we go over to my page, I'll show you the winning race that I had in retro. It was actually a very clean race. I was quick off the line all day for some reason. Not usually that quick off the line. And for those of you that were asking about the 2.2 collection, or what I thought about 2.2, Josh Rhodes RC Racing showed off his monster or his Gravedigger collection that he's got going here on his Facebook page, and talked a little bit about the different classes that they offer. And that's when I learned a little bit about that, which I talked about on my podcast that was out this morning. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, I have the While My Battery's Charged podcast. Get behind the scenes kind of information there, just kind of thoughts and random ramblings about RC that I'm thinking about. Here's the class. Whoops, that didn't work. That's what I need to do, expand it to the window. I gotta turn it down because the audio in here has music that's copyrighted. So we don't want to get a copyright strike for one little 15-second clip. So my USA 1, it's the second race I've had it in. It's pretty quick, but you could see the jump just kind of like bulldozed out of the way. So that was lucky for me. Otherwise, Jade and I were neck and neck. Oh, there's the audio again. I was looking for something over here. I don't remember what. Oh, yes, I do remember. So here's my collection of trucks that I took with me. That's my Metal Militia ZRD Freestyle. The Freestyle Pro C is below with the green flames. Next to that is the Sen Racing. It's a much smaller monster truck. Then I have the other 2.2 to the left of that, which is Max D, which is much bigger than the Sen. And then Sticker Bomb 1.0 is a SMT-10. And it's also an SMT-10, the Max D. That's what it's based off of. I just changed the tires on them. And then the 3 front monster trucks are my Bigfoot 1, USA 1, and Grandma Digger. Those are my retros. Those are Tamiya Clodbuster based. The Bigfoot has a regular chassis, but they all have on-axle steering modifications. The Bigfoot has front and rear steer, servos on each axle, and I can turn it on and off with my Spectrum controller if I want to have rear steer or not. The USA 1 is a CPE retro. What is it called? It's not a retro racer. That's the ZRP one. Time Warp. CPE Time Warp chassis. And the Grandma Digger is the ZRP retro racer. And then the Creighton 4S. All of those are able to be raced in the No Limit. I only raced 7 of them. So I didn't race Bigfoot and I didn't race Sticker Bomb 1. And actually somebody else races the Bigfoot. So that wasn't what I was coming for either. I'm very easily distracted. That's one of my problems. And I don't end things very well. So like when I tried to end the podcast today, as I was ending it, I brought up a new topic that I talked about for another minute or two. All right, so here it is. Here's the Sen Racing. So literally it would normally stop. Let me move this over and we're going to switch. We're going to switch monitors for this because I want to be able to show you guys with my mouse where things normally stop. So I need to switch windows. And I'm going to drag this over here. Whoops, I missed it. There we go. All right, so now I can use my mouse. Yes. I love technology. Isn't it great? Steve-O's in the house, 11 Charlie. Welcome, guys. Net Cruiser RC Tech cars. So these are my favorite. Like, monster trucks are what really got me into RC. It was the Traxxas Gravedigger. A lot of people know that. Then I wanted faster and more basher type cars. And I got into, it was a racer, actually. I got a short course truck. And from there, the Axial Yeti, which I traded. After I got a Axial SEX10, I realized I wanted a crawler and not a rock bouncer. So I traded the Yeti for another crawler, which was leaf sprung, and I didn't like that. The G-Made Sawback. And I tried to convert it to stuff. And then from there, guys, it kind of went exploded. We got tons of stuff in the collection now. Way too many. I'm actually starting to sell some now. All right, so back to this truck. So it literally ends, like the axle ends right after the steering knuckle right here. And I put on a 20 millimeter extension that goes over to just inside the wheel. That's an RC 4-wheel drive. It's a hex extender. Now, this isn't it's not always advised to do this kind of stuff to your trucks. You know what? I can do you guys one better. Let's not look at me. There we go. Now we got more room. My mouse looks bigger too. Isn't that nice? So what are you guys saying over here? All Out RC says, me too. Monster trucks all the way. RC Sailors, thanks for stopping in, guys. They are heading out. Green Frog's here. RC Propaganda, Rich Homan, 11 Charlie, Robert Hip, Steve O.D., Chris Watson, RC Voodoo, Wig Splitters RC has jumped in. True Boys RC, Devin Graham, RC Basher Boy. Lots of you. Scottzilla RC. Thank you guys for all coming in here. So about the Sens, they're definitely smaller, and this is going back to, I have a whole podcast I put out about the 2.2 class that we race. And what I did was I said, is the RC monster truck racing scene exclusive? And then I gave reasons why I thought that it was, because there's really nothing on the market that you can buy right now that can compete in any of the classes that we have without dropping hundreds of dollars to get into it. So on top of the purchase of the truck, because there's not something that starts slow other than the retro. Yeah. But if it's a new person, for them to tackle a Tamiya build, the first thing right off is kind of tough. But what is on the shelves are these Sen racing trucks, and these are available, but they just don't compete in a class where we're taking our Pro Mod trucks with brushless motors and all of that, and just switching the tires down to smaller ones and calling them minis, because they're still a Pro Mod. They're the fully modified trucks, except for they don't allow it. It has to be shaft driven. So I could take my ZRD, put mini tires on it. I could take my Pro C Freestyle, put mini, smaller tires on it, and call it a 2.2, which doesn't really make it a new class. It's just more racing and more money that they can make by offering it as a class. What I would like to see is a class where people could buy something off the shelf and compete with it. Whether that's limiting them to 2S battery packs and 12-turn brush motors, which is still a fast motor if you go down to 12 turn, but it's still inexpensive, and they can put it onto the existing ESC probably that comes in the car. Anyway, faster is not always better depending on the courses and all that. You might want faster acceleration, more torque, whatever, but not many instances you want more torque. But you do want faster acceleration. But what I did is I extended the wheelbase so it wouldn't want to tip over so easily. I removed shocks from it as well. So I only am running one shock. It comes with 8 shocks total, so I reduced it to 4. So 1 per wheel, basically. So each corner of the truck, the chassis got a shock on it. And that helped to allow it to not bounce so much when it landed. And so the control is just so much better with these simple modifications that I've done. The one thing it does need is a stronger servo. So basically I reduced, and I did put the J Concepts tires on because those also have 25 millimeter offset for them. So, that is just inside the wheel here instead of being way in the wheel, like midway or even further, like the Traxxas ones where they basically cover over the axles or over the arms. What I wanted here was those to stick out further. Now, what that does though is it creates break points potentially here because there's so much, or even just the end of the axle off where it's threaded, because of how much is off of that and how much is threaded onto that that little piece of axle left. And so I've seen people do it. Jeremy does it with his SMT10 in order to get the clearance that he needs, so he's not rubbing the trailing arms with his bigger tires, and he's broken them off even on that. And so it's a possibility. It handled really good. I didn't have any issues with this time. And there's a couple good tumbles it took. So I feel pretty good about it. I wouldn't want to do this. Like some people are trying to put the big 2.6 tires on these trucks. And I don't think that this is the truck for it. I think this is a 2.2 monster truck. It looks good. It looks like a 1/12 scale version with these smaller tires on. And I like it like that. And I'd love to see bodies made for it that are like the big ones, like the Gravedigger, but smaller. They're not going to do Gravedigger because, licensing is to whoever. Well, I guess, they could do, J Concepts could do a clear body and people could paint it however they want. But I do like this particular truck, and I think it's fast. It comes fast out of the box when you flip that transmission gear, and I found it to be very durable. And I was actually talking with Moo, we call him, but Jaden, who is the one, that's really fast locally. And he won one of these at the Sen Racing Challenge, and he was talking about how much fun he had. He was taking out every single day after he got it, just bashing it around the yard and jumping it off of their skateboard ramps and all that. And it's just taking a beating for him. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to see these have a little bit more raceability in the classes that we offer. And I don't know what that is, but I definitely feel like, we don't leave a lot of room for somebody new to come in and actually compete with anything that they could buy in the store. You'd have to buy, so many people are running pro stuff that's custom made and whatever. And they're always going to do that. They could still do that in a 2.2, but if you limit the sizes of them, the width of them, how wide it can be, how long it can be, and then you limit the motor, you could slow them down a bit. And I don't know. I think it'd make it a more interesting class. RC Master. Can it do a triple backflip followed by a Misty? If that is off of a ramp that's on top of a 2-story building, possibly. So, yeah. So the main thing right now that I need is a much stronger servo, because the servo sits up here and then it goes back to the transmission and then comes forward, because they were trying to make it so you could operate 4 steer with 1 servo. And so there's a piece that moves it all at the transmission, and there's another arm off the back, so you could take it to the back and run steering back there. And so that makes it have a little bit of play and slop there, which probably helped with me getting knocked off course. Not to mention it is a stock servo still in this one. I thought that I'd switched it out to one of the EcoPower ones, and when I got to the races, I realized that was one of my other Sen trucks that I'd swapped over. And so I was a little bit bummed that when I saw that, because the servos are underpowered that come in them. But, for 30 some bucks, or even getting one of the 15K or 25 kg ones that people get and sticking it in there, it would significantly help it out. All right. So back to the comments. What do you guys think? Not all of you guys are into monster trucks, so I understand that you might not all care. All right. So yeah, some of you guys are saying that thing's sick. Yeah, it's just a small version, and I love it. They've got the B50. The B50 is, I'm gonna do 4 steer on that. That's one of the upgrades that I got from them, was to show how you could do the 4 steer. And so that's gonna go onto the B50, because that's more of like a show truck in my opinion. That body has all those extra plastic pieces on it. It's heavier up top, and so it wants to roll a lot easier. But that HL150, that body sits low on there. It's a great looking body, and actually you can fit, to me, a Clodbuster bodies on there. It's about the same size truck as a Clodbuster, and so the wheelbase of it fits really great for that. So you could put on Clodbuster bodies, which I've seen people doing. RC Master says, so what's the best monster out truck so far? So the best monster truck on the market right now that you can buy in stores, solid axle, there's not a lot. MST just re-released theirs, but it's a 2-wheel drive this time. You can upgrade it back to 4, but it has like the Ivan Stewart look to it, which is really cool. And I would want that to be 4-wheel drive. I heard that they're like really tough, but it's small like this one as well. So the ones that are available are smaller size, the Wheelie King, the Sen, and the MST. Now, the SMT10 is going to be coming back out, and that thing is a really great platform. I really like the SMT10 line. I had the I had the motor on axle trucks. I know it's supposedly the best. I like my SMT10s. I've gone over to some of the freestyle stuff, which is really awesome, really well made. But there's still something in me that just loves, keeping the AR60 axles on there, putting the beef tubes in them, strengthening them up, and like that Max D is what I took second with. I've done really well in the 2.2 with that truck, And yeah, it would be once it comes back out, I would say that's probably the best of the solid axle. It's more expensive. It's bigger. Out of the box, the Sen was faster, especially on 2S. So yeah. So yeah, the Sen and them kind of feel like going back to the 2.2 again, I think should be a little bit more bouncy truck, a little bit slower, and it's just kind of a fun competitive class where you do have that older monster truck style bounce to them. That's not so dialed in like these new ones we have. That like my Pro C, man, you can launch that thing and no matter what you do, it hits and it doesn't even bounce unless the chassis hits the ground so hard that it somehow bounces it back up. It's just, it soaks everything up. But it was a very expensive truck. So like ready to run for that is about everything in on that Pro C is about $1,200. Same with the ZRD. The SMT10s all in, excuse me, about $650. So, yeah, the most fun basher one, the Freestyle RC, man, those things can take a beating, and all you're going to do is break a rod end, which they do break. They'll rip off because especially my ZRD is so heavy, and the axles and everything are so beefy that you hit something and it just rips those rod ends off, which I like. So, easy to fix. Chris Watson, what level did I set my punch on my Reaper? I just have mine set at stock still. I don't want to tear up my transmission. So I think that's the same with the Creighton 4S, by the way, speaking of conspiracies. I think that, a lot of people are talking about hesitation with the controller, and I've switched out the controller and I still have that little bit. I think that what they're doing is I think the punch is set lower on those because they're trying to save the drive shafts. And so, because they're plastic drive shafts and they know that instant power is more easily going to bust those drive shafts. So to make it more durable, I think it's been turned down a little bit. That's kind of me, that's my conspiracy. I don't know. I haven't actually taken it open and changed the punch on it yet, but I'm okay with it having that because racing, man, I could just gun it off the line and I didn't like wheelie all up. Because that's the one thing with the Max, man. You can barely touch it to do anything, and the wheels are just constantly popping up. And it's like driving a two-wheel drive Stampede. The wheels are always in the air. So yeah, that is what I've got going on. Net Cruiser, what do you want to test? You said you want to test that. I missed it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the Forest Creighton. I did put on the and I'm going to do it. I have a video already recorded on it, but I showed how to change out the arms to the RPM ones. It took me like 20 minutes while doing a video just straight to take all four out and switch them out. It was real easy to do. Super duper easy. Chris is saying I need to go to at least 5 or 6. A lot of the guys set it to 9. Yeah, the transmission in that and the Reaper is pretty solid. It's set at 1. I think they upped mine because I think it's already at 5. Because the Sen guys set mine up for me. And mine's the all carbon fibered out and all chaos parts out. So it's got the aluminum arms, carbon fiber chassis rails, and then it's pretty sick. But they set it all up, and I think it is set to 5. NetCruiser says, try to test the cause of the input delay. I will see about that. See what I can do. Because it doesn't even feel like that big of an input delay to me. I mean, what I feel is I hit it and it goes, but it feels like it's curved, like it's got a curve set to it. That feels like it's a bit of a safety thing, because once you're going, you can pop wheelies and stuff, but it just feels like that low end of it that is kind of slowly getting it going in order to save the drive shafts. But I haven't looked into it yet. I need to go in and set it. I hate doing any manual type ESC tuning. I don't know why it pains me so much. I'm loving these new cars where it's finally Bluetooth. And I can just connect to it with my phone and tell it what settings I want. So, Infamous RC, any word on the SMT10 coming back out? Should be very soon. Should be very soon. I think now that last LOSI announcement is out, I think they've probably are wanting something new to be dropping here. So, and it doesn't, I don't know if it has to be a big release like some of the other ones have been. If it'll be like wait for it in shelves, or if when they announce it, it's going to already be shipping. I don't know. I hope so. But what I want to see is I'd love to see new bodies coming out, painted or not. But, you know, if you've got the Feld licensing, I'd love to see a couple more options. I've got my Son of a Diggers. I love that. It'd be a great, ready to run, especially because it's on a black chassis. So you could do, well, it's on a blue one, but because you're going to want a black chassis option. But yeah. Chris says he's sending me a $10 Hobby Wing program card. I wonder if they sell them in Hobbytown. I just won a gift card there at the racing when I won, as well as some tire glue, which was good. Xlight GTZ says I can't decide if to buy an Arma Sentin 3S, 6S, Traxxas VXL 2-wheel drive, or the Losi Tenacity DB Pro. Well, I would say get the Sentin 3S, the Tenacity DB Pro. I would get one of those two. I don't think the Sentin 6S is going to be around much longer now that the Mojave's out. That's just my thought on that. But you might get a good price on it. And, you know, a lot of the parts are shared. So it could be actually a pretty good deal if you get it at a good price. But I have the Sentin 3S. I love it. It does have the leaky shocks that people talk about. Those are upgradable for not much, but it's a great runner for $300. It's amazing. I have two of them. But the Tenacity DB Pro, man, it's like a race buggy, but you know, a little bit scaled to be like an off-road buggy, and it handles so well. Rich Homan, everybody's telling me to get the Hobby Wing program card. All right. I'll go get one. Sorry. I usually do Castle, but Castle's been non-existent. Although I'm starting to see them on the shelves again, which has been really nice. Chris is saying I got to grab one, and they're saying they tune all their trucks with it. All right. See, I had a program card for Castle, and it was not a good experience. And so I used the, computer program, and it's been great. Now we have the Bluetooth modules for them, and that works even better. The Hobby Wing Axe ESC I got, and that is the best. That is an amazing experience. So, yeah. But, so I have RC Propaganda. How's it going? He says got his Castle recently. So I just got another Castle. I have the one in my Kyosho Rampage, and then I got another, just the ESC, so that I can run the Holmes Revolver motor in the rock bouncer I'm building. But that's just because I can program them with my stuff, the apps and all that. So I do really like, though, that Axe system is something else. Nate Cruiser says the DB Pro is very nice so far, so I've not run a 3S yet. I didn't think I was going to need to, but once I put it in, like, it's not that much crazier, but it's like, it feels just right. Chris Watson, great. You can get one and check your Reaper. I mean, I know how to do it for those ones, to go in and set the punch and the brake. So I should go in and check and see what it is. Mine looks so good right now that all my other cars look broken. And I like how good that one looks not broken. And so I ran theirs and other people's before. And now that I have one, I like it looking good. So, and I should probably change some of the metal parts to plastic based on how I drive, because I don't want to break something or bend something. And it's set up right now that something would happen. So Drifto Maniac, somebody's asking him a question. He says he thought when no V4 Sentin was released, something else was coming out, and the Mojave has sealed the end to it. I think I agree there. So, I mean, I wouldn't do a 2-wheel drive VXL. I mean, not when you can get a 4-wheel drive. And so I know people will say 2-wheel drive is the way to learn to drive RCs. And yes, if it's got TSM in it, that's true. I kid. That just makes it like a 4-wheel drive, which I did to my Kyosho Outlaw Rampage, and it's so nice. But the Sentin 3S is, I mean, it's unstoppable for $300 as a short course, brushless, 4-wheel drive. I mean, it's running the same chassis as the Creighton 4S. It just has shorter arms and smaller electronics and smaller shocks. But, I mean, there's awesome shocks. You can get shocks from, you can get alloy shocks that are meant for slashes and that you can put in there. I have the Atomic RC shocks. I think they're the bigger bore shocks are $19 for 2, and the smaller ones are $16. And that's what I'm running on my Rock Bouncer right now, are the smaller ones. And the bigger ones are actually going to go on my Son of a Digger slash build. The J Concepts conversion kit for monster trucks. So they're really inexpensive, and you get metal threaded body shocks. So you can do it pretty cheap. Basher Boy says my Kyosho Outlaw Rampage Pro is on training wheels, and it looks so good on them. It drives. It can actually handle that system I put in it. I don't know if the transmission can, but we'll find out here soon. Wig Splitters, do you think the new Arma will come with the new Spectrum ESCs? I think everything's going to start coming with the new Spectrum stuff from Horizon. So if it was early enough into the build, or if the Spectrum stuff was being built early enough onto them making this, then I'm going to guess yes. So it depends if the releases coincide, but I think that almost all Horizon stuff that is, mid-range and up is going to come with the new Spectrum stuff, because it's going to sell batteries, it's going to sell smart chargers, and it's going to sell the Spectrum brand. So it's smart. So I think yes. If Spectrum finished them early enough to get them put into it before they were built and boxed and all of whatever in the factory. So there's a lot that goes into the timing of all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know enough about their goings on to answer that. But I think because it's in the Tenacity DB Pro, which was released earlier, I'm hoping that it comes with the Spectrum stuff, because I'm really liking the Spectrum stuff that is in the Tenacity DB Pro and what it can offer us. So that's my take on it. Redbeard Ron says the J Concepts conversion is a nice kit. He got one and put it on a Slash high center of gravity 4-wheel drive. Very cool. Yeah, I bought one fully made. Ready to run, Tony, for the win. I saw it pop up on our group with the son of a digger body, and I knew who built it, and he's who I got all my my retros from. The USA 1, Bigfoot, and Grandma Digger, all from Joshua Sanford. I got the Jeff Gordon 24 car Traxxas VXL from him. And I got... Did I get anything else from him? The son of a digger and part stuff. I got the snakebite body from him. I have another Bigfoot body from him. And I got a whole bin of parts for SMT-10s. The smart stuff is not requiring the battery complete. Like, it doesn't rule out other batteries. And if Arma does what Arma does, they do the hook and loop Velcro. And so that doesn't limit batteries. The IC5 connectors that they use in the Spectrum Smart can work with EC5s. Like the one I have just on my desk right here. For whatever reason. These are the ones that you buy on eBay from China that are already mounted, and you put some solder in there, like the easy stuff, solder it on there, call it good, and be done with it, and then put some shrink wrap over it. It's the best. Screenshotting Chris Watson's email, and I will delete that for you. Nope, I can't. You have to remove it yourself. Chris, you can remove that. I got a screenshot of it. If you don't want your email going out to the world and staying in this chat in the live video later. I think I need to pull up the graphic and see if I've covered everything. The Charisma Brat, we haven't talked about that. We did Sen Racing. Arma Max. Okay. So quickly then we'll get over to just talk about the Charisma Brat. I don't know if Charisma has it on their website yet. I know they've got that picture of it on Facebook. I'm not seeing it on their page yet, but I do know that they do have a mini version of it. That's the first time I saw it, and I was really liking that. I think it's a 24th scale. Trying to find it. I thought they had a small version of the Brat too. I don't see it. All right, so I'm just going to go back to RC Conspiracies. And we'll pull up this actual page here. So we can go to the web. And we'll just take a quick look. So here is what they've got, and they talk about it here. It's a no battery model. It's a ARC 1 ESC with crawler mode enabled, 35 turns, so it's a high torque motor. Permanent 4-wheel drive with locked diffs, which means it's going to push corners really far probably. Full steel U-joints, equipped drive line, UJs. Guessing it's U-joints. Built to perform a variety of roles in both 2 and 4-wheel drive. This car was. The one that they're selling is the 4-wheel drive. What do you guys think about that? Robert Hipp says the Subaru is awesome. I know a bunch of mine. My name is Earl car. That would be pretty sweet build. So, Drifto's saying, looking at the HPI Racing website, and they've announced V2 versions of a lot of cars, and you can bet they want the top monster truck slot back that the Savage XL used to own. And that is true. That is very true. One of the guys that watched the show last time actually sent them a message and sent them a link to the RC Conspiracies about them. And I'm trying to pull it up here if I can find it in my inbox. He posted it to that particular video. I'm getting a little bit harder. We've been going for just a little over an hour. I'm having trouble keeping up now. They say they have, they're working really hard. They don't want to tease stuff and not have anything to show for it. They say people are getting tired of that. I counter and say they did tease that. They said change is coming. Then they say change is happening. That's teasing that stuff's coming. Even more than kind of where they might be going with it, without even giving us little teasers of what it looks like. So it leaves us really even more thinking that things not coming. Sorry. But they did talk about their history. It's all been pasted to that page. A couple of points here. They're looking forward to rebuilding the HPI Racing and Maverick brands together with us, the RC community. They say together with you. The brands will be putting existing customers' needs first. And I think that's fantastic. I just want them to come out and say it. So just come out and say, hey guys, change is coming, but we know that a lot of you own our products and we're working our tails off and we're getting you guys the parts that you need for the trucks that you have and that you love so much. And so just tell us that, let us know that it's happening behind the scenes, but really, we care about you as customers and we care about the HPI brand and what you guys have. We don't want you to have to sell your vehicles because there's not parts. We're getting you the parts that you need, because I'll tell you what, the HPIs that were at the No Limit race this past weekend were tough as nails. Some of the hits that I saw them take would have broke just about every other truck there, the way that they landed, and they just bounced back and kept going. So they can ensure us that there's a bright and sustainable future plan for HPI Racing with innovation and parts supply at the core, which is awesome. The rebuilding process is very different from previous times because it's a completely new startup at this point. None of the systems or the staff or the logistics or any of that were transferred to them when they bought HPI Racing. And so they literally are rebuilding from the ground up. And so they said the past 2 months they've been working hand in hand with Vestergaard to start that process. And that, again, what they said is that they're doing R&D management of HPI Racing is going to be done through the HPI people, handle the sales. HPI Racing AS Ltd will initially handle the sales, marketing, purchasing, R&D management of HPI Racing. We are now a small, compact team, and we're still working through exactly how we handle other aspects. So the existing stock and body protection machinery in the UK has been transferred. And so now they're working on getting some of that out. Anyway, a really good email, and they talk about why they're not doing certain things and why they're doing others. Licensing agreements have to be renegotiated, renewed. Other things that they found problematic parts are being totally resourced, where necessary. Yeah. They've got 33 years of HPI racing products and stuff that they have to evaluate and see how they move forward. So they're definitely hard at work, and they say they're not going to be able to produce every part in every car that we want to manufacture and have them all on the market for everyone straight away. It's just not possible right now. But again, they're trying to get parts into their people's hands who have the HPI cars now. And they're working on distribution, all of that kind of thing. Really good email. I would recommend going over there and finding it. I will go back and I will pin that so it stays right up on the top so you guys can see it. But Bank Altered RC asks, wonder if they still have the Ken Block contact in the future. So that's a good question, if that's something that they're renegotiating. Michael Deering, did I miss everything on the C2X? We did not talk about the C2X today. I'm still waiting. I haven't gone and seen who all has them and what they're saying yet. I know Hemistorm has one. Scale Builders Guild just posted something back in September. I haven't seen those yet with the running videos. Anyway, guys, I think that's going to wrap us up here for the day or the night. Thanks again for tuning in, as always. Appreciate you guys and your time here. Sorry. He's saying he noticed over on 24/7 the MTXL got discontinued. Robert Hibb, how did I like the GTA kit? What's the GTA kit? The Alfa Romeo? See, I'm trying to end and I'm coming back. Anyway, guys, all right, we're going to wrap it for real this time. Thanks again for tuning in and for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you guys next time.